Hi, hello, dear participants. I hope you have been enjoying this tech fair so far and finding it interesting and useful. I'm Barbie Svetec from the Faculty of Organization and Informatics of the University of Zagreb, and I'd like to welcome you to another talk show in which we will dig more deeply into some issues already mentioned earlier in this fair. And there's already been say about the mismatch between the supply and demand for skills on the labor market, which happens in different sectors, but also in different national contexts. And there's also been word of different types of skills and expertise relevant for the tech labor market, including specific tech and IT skills, but also other domain expertise. And finally, the key competencies for lifelong learning, which besides digital skills also include numerical and scientific skills, entrepreneurship, literacy, interpersonal, and also other skills. So related to this, we'd like you to take part in a short poll, and we'll take a look at the results at the end of the session. So please, if the participants can participate in the poll, and we'll get back to that later. Moving on, we are all aware that the labor market is constantly changing and evolving due to societal challenges, of course, but also to very much related technological developments. And this issue, although general, is especially relevant for the tech job market, as it is essential for tech professionals to stay ahead of the curve in order to prosper on the labor market. Therefore, today we will discuss how the rapidly evolving world of technology affects the set of skills required, needed in the tech industry. And this evolving demand for skills on the tech industry labor market needs to be followed by, of course, relevant learning opportunities. So we will try to explore the new ways and approaches to learning, which can support tech professionals' employability and also advancement on the labor market. And for this talk show, we tried to get together the representatives of various relevant stakeholders, including tech companies from the labor market side of the story, and then higher education institutions from the education side of the story, and of course, students who are sort of in between getting ready for the beginning of the labor market journey, so to say. So please let me introduce our speakers. We'll talk today to Mia Despotovic, Director of Business Development from a tech company, Sedam IT. Then Professor Mirko Planinic, who is the Dean of the Faculty of Science of the University of Zagreb. Professor Dusan Barać, who is the Vice Dean for Digital Development at the Faculty of Organizational Sciences of the University of Belgrade. And last but not least, Lucia Žužić, who is a student, a recent graduate and a current PhD student at the University of Rijeka, also a winner of a Rector's Award. So let's start with the labor market. Mia, from the perspective of a tech company, what are the skills and competencies you're looking for in tech professionals? Is it just the technological competence or is there more?
So good afternoon to everybody. As the director of the business development sector in IT company, I'm here to say more about our needs. I would first like to distinguish the story, we delve on two sides of the same coin. On one hand, you have the individuals who are frequently searching for the job, and each day they are faced with a choice. They need to invest more in gaining some general skills and knowledges by investing their time and other resources in taking that education and investing in it. And there is the inherent challenge here, because the general knowledge may open the door and translate into the opportunity to have more job opportunities and to have access to better paid jobs. But the companies, including ours, are often willing to pay a premium price only for the specialist or for a specific set of the skills. And from the other side of the coin, we as companies are often looking for the candidates who are willing to jump right in, individuals equipped with a specific knowledge that aligns perfectly with our needs. Yet the truth is that the candidates are unicorn in the industry, and you cannot find that easily on the labor market. And then you take other factors in consideration. Of course, there is a formal education, because when you are going through the process of the formal education, you are often listening to the subjects you are not willing to actually understand. You have the deadlines and you develop the skills of the time management. You develop the understanding of various topics, and most of all, you have the deadlines and the exams you need to follow if you want to go through the process. And that is one thing that I appreciate the most. Also, you get a wider horizon of specific knowledges. But when you come to the company, there are lots of the skills that play a crucial role. First, interpersonal skills. How do you communicate? Are you the team player? How do you handle the stress? How effectively do you communicate? Then there is a next big thing, and that is the responsibility and the stress you are willing to put on your shoulders, and how grounded the decisions you are making are. But the tech world is, of course, in a fast pace of development, and the tools and technologies of the yesterday might be obsolete tomorrow. So in such an environment, while fundamental knowledge is invaluable, it is the attitude towards the learning that becomes most important. It's a realization that we cannot talk, that we cannot and perhaps need not know everything. The learning is an ongoing journey, and the morphing in its nature, pace, and method use. But the ultimate challenge I find to be true is the one of translating the acquired knowledge into actionable insight and practical solutions. It's how you engage, uh, how you are willing to take a course of the action. Are you willing to dedicate some extra time to learn? And are you going to pursue the process of learning, even though you are not familiar with all the facts and informations you might need to execute your mission of delivering the task? That's about it.
Thank you, Mia. So it's essential to never stop learning. And Lucia, as a recent graduate and already a PhD student, so who has already decided not to stop learning, what is your perspective on this? How do you see the situation that expects students on the labor market? What is the relation between the competencies they acquired during their studies and those they are going to need in their working life?
Well, to continue on what Mia said, in computer science, the advancements are daily. So the faculties often have a hard time keeping up with their curriculums to match to these demands that the industry has. And there are a lot of new subfields like machine learning, blockchain technology, cybersecurity, and a lot of these diverse fields aren't really covered by courses in the official curriculums because they aren't able to update them as quickly. And as these companies demand knowledge of new technologies, students have to learn the skills either by themselves or in, I don't know, some workshops or by online learning tools, for example. And especially, as Mia said, it's important to gain skills that are hard to quantify, like soft skills, communication, teamwork, problem solving, being able to adapt to stress, to new circumstances, which might not really be part of a curriculum for computer science students, as well as interdisciplinary areas, because a lot of colleagues, including myself, work with medicine, biology, chemistry, which aren't covered in computer science as well. But it's necessary to gain this knowledge to continue working and collaborating. And also some of the industry requires you to have a formal education and formal status that can only be gained in these educational institutions, and also by sometimes studying courses that you don't think are relevant anymore, but others prefer you to prove yourself by practical work And that's why it's important to balance these two things and have, for example, internships or a part-time job to bridge this skill gap. Well, I also wanted to mention that, it's important to be motivated for students. It's important that they themselves know their goals and that they are oriented to always keep improving themselves. And that's how they will succeed, in my opinion. So that's about it. So you can continue and comment yourself.
Yeah. Thank you, Lucia. So both Lucia and Mia have already touched upon the importance of transversal skills and also interdisciplinary knowledge. And of course, the skills which may be integrated into curricula, but maybe not explicitly because they are parts of some other aspects of curricula. And considering this, but also, of course, the constant technological advancements, which we have mentioned already several times, how do higher education institutions see these situations? What are they doing to align with the needs of the labor market? Here we have, again, two different perspectives, one more focused on IT and the other of a science-oriented higher education institution. So, Professor Barać, what is your perspective on this?
First of all, many thanks for the opportunity to participate in this event. I do think that this event is a great example of the activity that students should take part in, not only the students, but the academia as well. My main job is a full professor at the University of Belgrade, FON, and I'm currently in the position of Vice Dean for Digital Development. And that job encompasses some management of IT infrastructure and development of digital services for different types of stakeholders. And in addition, I've been working on many IT projects, both in science and practice. So please be aware that my opinion is a little bit through the lens of the IT field. What I would like to address in the beginning is that IT people are in the big balloon, and that balloon has permanently growing for the last 20 or 25 years. And I suppose you're aware that our region is among the most important IT outsourcing providers in the whole world. And in general, I can tell you that being in that balloon is the privilege that brings a lot of benefits in comparison to other jobs. I could mention good salaries, nice and interesting projects, travelings, nice clients, etc. And that's the reason why the FON in Serbia and other IT-oriented faculties in Croatia have been the most attractive for years. And yeah, being an IT expert means by default that you have to refresh the knowledge at least on yearly basis. And it's a, how to say, it's a constantly huge issue or huge challenge for all of us. And in general, what happened during last 2 years is that some holes in that balloon appeared. I suppose that you are all familiar with what happened in Silicon Valley and the rest of USA and what the implications for our region are. The demand for juniors heavily dropped, and that is important for the students to be aware of that fact. Actually, the situation is much worse than it was a year ago. And I think that's for the very first time in the last 25 years. And we have to adapt very promptly. When I say we, I mean the students, the companies, government, faculties. And so at FON, we are trying to do a lot of things to adapt to what is happening on the market and in society in general. We feel a strong pressure from both the industry and government to enroll more and more students in IT field on one hand, and you know that majority of the faculties are still more traditional organizations. For instance, in order to change curriculums, you have to accreditate new programs. That is always a long-lasting process. In parallel, we've been trying to extend this with extracurricular activities and services, and I think there is no magic formula, but our idea is to add as many additional activities to the courses. And maybe before talking about some practical things that we are doing in maybe in second iteration, I would like just to rephrase Harari. Harari is now well-known writer, and he talked a lot about AI, and his idea is that AI will help us to become being so higher order, some kind of superhumans. And I think that is the direction I expect for IT people particularly. So today we are being provided with a plethora of tools and platforms, and they all help us to focus on more creative activities. And that means dealing with architectures, with bigger pictures, with concepts, much more than spending time and effort on making simple and single things. And that is the direction where we should go in next few years. That's maybe enough for the first part for me.
Thank you, Professor Barac. And I'm sure Professor Planinic has interesting insights from his perspective as well, maybe a bit different.
Yes, thank you very much for inviting me. So at the Faculty of Science, we are a big faculty, you know, like 4,000 students, and at different departments, 7 departments. The different approaches, some of you also mentioned that we don't know what skills will be needed in 5 years when our students will finish their studies. So it is a better approach to develop their competencies, like curiosity. You know, curiosity is something that you can encourage also in kids at basic education, because when you have a 7-year-old kid, it is not how to say, so it's a concrete thinker. If you give them to add 2 numbers, he knows how to add 2 plus 3, but not to add them as X and Y. So that's one complicated thing for teaching physics. But if you develop curiosity, it will match in the end all competencies that all skills that it has to develop. So the other competencies that we want to develop is creativity, collaboration, critical thinking. And so how do we do that? Our students all somehow have some kind of teamwork where they solve some problems in physics, mathematics, and so on. And this critical thinking is very important. And these competencies are needed at the market, because we know from our WISE, which is Work in Science job fair, that, for example, companies come and ask for mathematicians and physicists to join them because of this critical thinking that is important. And also we are good at science, and that means that we put our students to the front of science research. So they develop skills for science that are good for science, but we have, you know, somehow managed to have European projects, and we somehow bought equipment which is like 10 million euros in physics and 10 million euros in chemistry. And so we can say that our students are at the front of the research. So this somehow helps them at the job market at the end when they have to solve some problems in tech industry as well. So I would stop here. Probably next time we will talk a bit concrete about yes.
Thank you, Professor Planinic. So you've actually highlighted what we've somehow already touched upon, and that's the importance of transversal skills. But what I particularly liked is that you stressed the importance of curiosity. And I think that this curiosity is actually the driver of continuous learning, because there is no continuous learning if there is no motivation and no will to learn, and of course no curiosity. So this is, of course, does not refer only to formal education, but it goes beyond. So I'm going back to Mia. How does your company ensure that their employees are staying ahead of the curve with their competencies? How do you encourage their curiosity?
I think that outlines everything. I would like to say the curiosity is a key, but on all the levels. So I would like to mention here the 3 pillars of driving the growth through the learning. And that is the company culture, organized support, and the individual's attitudes. When I'm talking about the company culture, it's always like a fiction. I said, he said, we said, and stuff like that. We have the nice web. But from my perspective, when I came to the company, my early days were characterized with words of my boss. He actually had the approach, can you find out how this can be done? And then I was like, okay, I will. And then I was going through the papers and stuff like that. I made the suggestions. And then he would say, okay, now try it. I think that this one is like the best, but you can try each and then come with the results. And it was the great thing that failures or failed attempts of knowing how the things work were not criticized, but they are. He was always taking the argumentative approach. So he told me, okay, now this is not good. Tell me why this is not good. Tell me why this is good, or and stuff like that. So it's a culture of conversation of getting the younger people or the people who are not experts in the domain to learn, to test, to try, to experiment, because if you have the consequences of the failure, then you are most likely not to engage in such activities next time. Then there is the organizational support, which I find, mostly asked for. It's one thing that we say that we support the growth, but another thing to have a structure and the operations around it. Our commitment goes beyond just allocating the funds for training and development, and we honor the hours of our team dedicated to learning, viewing them as the part of the core work. And we also put not just fancy term that we use, but we put it in action. The mentor employee model, where we embrace the culture that most older or senior employees are willing to exchange their experiences and information on a certain topic with the younger employees. And that is the symbiotic relationship and ecosystem where the knowledge flows both ways, because the young individuals maybe see something in a totally different way and may have the suggestions we previously did not use. So what is the main outcome is that they develop mutual respect, and then you have the continuous growth of the knowledge, of the expertise, and related things. And of course, in the end, there is that individual approach. I find it perhaps the most vital, and it rests with our team members. Our support structures and their nurturing culture will only yield the results when we meet the proactive energy of our employees. It's up to managers to channel this energy, and they act as catalysts of the change rather than controllers. And they have the role to inspire the people rather than to give them instructions how to do something. And of course, there is the spirit of the environment, because we all act like that, not just the individual, not just a certain person. We have set of our personalities, of course, but we are all dedicated to give people the freedom and to give them a chance to test some opinions and to have the experiments.
Thank you, Mia. So it's important to keep an open mind on both sides of the learning and teaching actually process, and of course to open up to innovation, sort of. And so in this field that is like constantly on a day-to-day basis evolving. Individuals need actually to be ready and open to upskill and also to reskill if needed, and learn constantly in various kinds of innovative ways. But a firm basis is still acquired in formal education. So how are universities adapting? Are there new methods, approaches to teaching and learning? Are there maybe some industry relevant experiences integrated into curricula and offered to students? We can start with Professor Planinic and the perspective of the Faculty of Science, please.
Yes, we do have some experience for our students in companies. We have our career center, which somehow encourage our students to go and take like 1 month or 2 months during the summer to solve some concrete problems in companies, and students love that very much. And when they came back, they somehow feel that they are useful, you know, for the first time. But it is very important that they have courage after that experience so that they can solve any problems that will come in the future. So I think this 2 months experience is very important. And some other stuff that we are doing, we are constantly changing our curriculums and programs. For example, we had in the past some programs that were, integrated 3+2. It's not 3+2, but 5 years, like physics and some others. And so we are all now changing to 3+2 because field work, field research, which is also very important. So they can develop, in a team. They can solve some conflicts between people and find compromises, and this is also very important for their future. Okay.
Thank you, Professor Planinic. And what is the Faculty of Organizational Science in Belgrade doing in this respect, Professor Barac?
Yeah, as I previously said, we tried to do a lot of things, and I can say we have 2 streams. One is to extend formal programs to introduce new courses, and on the other hand, we tried to employ some new services, and that's what is in combination should give good results, not only for the students but for all the stakeholders. Last year we accredited totally new programs on the bachelor studies, master studies, and PhD studies. Again, there is some miss of time in terms of years. It's 5, but I can say that now we are fully adapted to the needs of the market. And on the other hand, we leave some space to introduce new elective courses within the accredited programs. They are much more oriented toward the application of the technologies, not the technologies themselves, but the application of the technologies. We introduced some new methods of learning, like project-based learning, a lot of case studies in the management part of the courses. And I can tell you from my perspective, as we have several courses on 3rd and 4th year of the bachelor studies, we insist on projects as final works in a course. So you cannot pass the exam if you don't develop your own app or make some digital service. It's obligatory for all the exams. I can now just a small off topic. I can tell you what I've seen at the University of Mälardalen in Sweden. It's Västerås city close to Stockholm. It was 5 years ago, and at that time, for their students, it was obligatory to connect their final work with the company. and of course they're having strategic partners. And so in order to pass the final exam, you have to find a company and to spend some time in the company, and you will have like a double mentor. One is from academia and the other is from companies. I think that's a good direction. I'm pretty sure that only the faculties that are tightly connected with the markets will survive. I mean, that's already happening, not only in Serbia with some faculties, but also in the whole region. Regarding the second stream, you know, the new generation are not the same as we were in their time, and so we have to adapt to their needs, expectations, etc. We've been using different channels of communication, so like a social media, even Viber groups, WhatsApp groups, etc. Because it's not. I think that Lucia mentioned that it's very important to motivate students, and it happens very frequently that we bring some experts from the practice. They come to FON, but maybe 10 or 20 students appeared for the lecture. So we created the FON Hub. It's a center for all the students and teachers that want to work on some extracurricular activities. And again, two streams. One is related to the startups, to the entrepreneurship, and the second one is collaboration with the companies, where companies come with their requests, with their ideas to develop or only to test something. And we already had a good success on that. Further, we developed FON Board. That's a digital platform that a kind of marketplace for companies and exclusively our students. So students come there to see if there are some job ads or some opportunities for the practice. We have a blog there and the opportunity for the companies to present themselves. And at the moment, close to 1,000 students have been using the platform, and more than 90 companies. At the moment, what is the problem, to be honest, at the moment is that we have a really small number of job ads. It's like only 20 or 25, but that's the reflection from the market. Then the FON boarding 2-day event for the companies and the students, where they get together within our building, and that's the opportunity to communicate and to exchange knowledge. We have open days, a lot of infrastructure that we invested in last few years in order to attract students to spend their time with the faculty, and I expect some results very soon. Again, ChatGPT and other similar tools, where the red light for all the teachers, and so the way how we teach and the way what we expect from the students has changed a lot. And I think that big majority of the courses within FON require from the students to do some practical project for the final work.
Thank you, Professor Barac. I think it's actually really great that universities are actually recognizing the value of innovative approaches and strategies to learning, like work-based learning, problem-based, project-based, also team-based work at universities, and of course, inquiry-based learning and so on. And finally, let's go back to the student perspective. What are students' expectations, Lucia? What do you find important to help you learn efficiently and develop a strong basis for the future labor market journey? We've mentioned already some strategies, approaches, but maybe there are also some tools and some other things you would like to point out.
So yes, I would like to point out, as Dusan mentioned, that students are looking for knowledgeable, experienced, and accessible professors who can give them guidance, be their mentors, and support them in their journey, because they want to be connected to real-world projects, internships, or research. So this experience can help connect them to the next stage of their lives when they go to industry or maybe continue in academia. And also, I think it's important that faculties provide students with modern laboratories, software and hardware, like different tools and equipment that they need to use in their activities, but maybe cannot provide for themselves because it's either too expensive or simply not available for like private subjects. As well as students need help with, I don't know, like job placement, resume building, interview preparation, guidance with their careers to be able to point them in the right direction, to find the right fit for their qualities. And also that's why they need flexibility to choose elective courses or specializations. Of course, they can learn all this themselves, but it's always better to get help from someone who already has experience. And that's why they need an inclusive environment from their older colleagues, as well as the colleagues from their own years. And they have to develop their skills continually by reading books, papers, all the new resources that are popping up all over the place, all over the internet each day. But they also need structured courses from the faculty to be able to meet the deadlines and the requirements of the formal side of things to earn their degrees. And it's hard to balance that, like I said earlier. So that's why I think the most important thing for students is choosing the right faculty, the right courses, and continuing to grow from that. And as well as finding the programs such as internships and alumni programs, coding contests, hackathons. Because if you participate in these events, you can often find the companies that are recruiting, you can find new coworkers, or maybe you can just find a friend. And it's always good to build your connections, to build your network, because it allows you to have more flexibility and it gives you invaluable experience. So I would finish with this, but I would also like to say that it's important to remain curious and open to any new experiences.
Thank you, Lucia. I think this curiosity has sort of lighted a spark in all of us. And I think we've already heard a number of important messages, but to wrap it up, I'd ask each of the speakers for a short conclusion. We'll have a couple of minutes left. So what can we do to bridge the skills gap in this constantly changing and evolving tech landscape? Also, maybe how can companies, educational institutions, and also tech professionals work together to support the positive development of our region's tech world? We can start with Professor Planic, please.
Yes, thank you. So, as you said, curiosity, collaboration, critical thinking, creativity, these are all sorts of competencies that we want to develop in our students, and if they develop those competencies, they will be ready for developing new skills, because it's not always good to have skills just in case, but just in time. And if it's just in time, that means that you need to have these competencies to develop these skills just in time. That would be my main message.
Great, thank you, Professor Barac.
I would like to finish with a list of suggestions and advices. I didn't want to conclude, but just to make a list of practical points that I talk with students about. So let me try to be quick. I'll just read the list of the items. First of all, majority of the students think that they don't know enough, and they're afraid to take part in some competitions, in projects, in events. That's a big mistake. So don't be afraid. Try to be part of as many projects as possible. try to work in teams. Just to be aware that for one place in job place in IT, I don't know, maybe our colleagues from the company can confirm that or not, but at least 100 CVs come. And do you think that HRs spend 5 or 10 minutes per each CV? I mean, it's just a couple of seconds. And so you have to fill your CV with something that's extra. That's not just a diploma or something from the faculty. Then try to learn yourself. Decrease the time that you spend for Instagram, just for 1 or 2 hours per day, and you have to learn by yourself. It's not enough just to come to the lectures at the faculty. So combine lectures and additional activities like hackathons, workshops, job fairs, digital platforms, guest lectures, special programs for the companies, master classes, etc. Use open courses, and be aware that any of these activities really bring a new value, a new perspective or new opportunities. And that is the difference between you from the faculties and other people that just take a course for a couple of months. You know, networking is important. Go step by step, and what else? Try and make as many mistakes as possible in this period of your life. You know. And again, try to be informed, so follow the portals with news like Bloomberg, like Business Insider, and some others, because you will see there what we talked about for the last 45 minutes. And the last but not the last suggestion from my side would be to bring your LinkedIn profile to perfect state. And that's all from me.
That's a practical advice, but also very important. Thank you so much. Lucia.
So I would like to encourage students, especially to let their voices be heard. So the only way that the faculty, for example, can improve its curriculum is for students to give feedback on what is current in the industry and on what they think would be relevant and important to them, so that they can gain employment. And students should also not be afraid to share their experiences with other students. And it's equally important to incorporate the experiences you hear into your own, and that's the only way this network can grow. So that's, for me, the most important thing, to not be afraid to speak up and to always have confidence in yourself. Even if you have a lot to learn, you also have a lot to give as well.
Thank you, Lucia. And Mia.
Of course, I'm the last. I will just mention the ongoing debate in the industry, because lots of the companies take a stand that they will not invest in some specific certification of the employees that might be leaving the company soon. And the mantra we accepted was the one of the Henry Ford, actually, that the only thing worse than training your employee and having them leave is not training them and having them stay. So basically the same goes with employees. It's not about the finish line. It's not about the final goal of learning. It's about taking your incremental step, because if you have the small gap now, it can become much wider in the future. So don't be afraid, just go, just learn small things every day, and you accomplish great things.
Thank you, Mia. So these are all important messages, and I believe they will stick with our participants. I think we've sort of pointed out that we have to keep informed, curious, critical, active, learning, and also on the labor market. Never stop learning, and we should stay confident and never be afraid. So these are all important messages for our students who are soon to enter the labor market. And I think we've actually really reached them, because we've used the poll to ask the students what do they consider essential for their success on the labor market. 17% found specific tech competencies acquired in higher education to be the most important, while 83% found their adaptability, critical thinking, and willingness to learn to be actually essential. We had two other options: opportunities for further learning in companies and further self-learning, which none of the participants found essential, but it doesn't mean that these are not important. Maybe that they're just not number one, but they're still here. So thank you, dear panelists, for sharing your insights, and also thanks to the audience for listening to our talk show, taking part in the poll. Enjoy the rest of the program. Visit the University of Rijeka's showroom, please, and don't forget to never stop learning. Have a great day. Bye.
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 Bye.